common sense.
You're literally talking like a bespoke piece of scenery for every single climbable wall. One of the best ways of teaching something to the players, rather than telling them to do something, you can breadcrumb them to get them to that place. So you can basically use contrast. So you can use
Look
like
at
a
that
landmark in the background, for example, to draw their eye, and that will work as like a sort of beacon.
Yep.
In Church in Breath of the Wild at the very start, you know, rather than have like a big arrow, be like, go here. You didn't need that because you have this landmark that's just
fucking obvious. It's so fucking, it's massive right there. Like you open up Elden Ring, and you immediately know what the hell's going on. It's, oh, the yellow. You see that yellow guy on the horse? Oh, he's not so good, huh? That's it. You immediately know what to do. Lazy devs. Yep, there you go.
There, and the player is always going to go back.
Did the job.
You're going to have to adapt because obviously it's annoying people now, and that's not going to go away. You can't use it. You'll also be surprised when people go on Twitch and be like, it's back.
This brings me back to A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, and to a lesser extent Storm 2. After Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and another intense round of mocking, I thought gaming was finally done with yellow paint. But once again, the played out, but admittedly...
Well, they're always going to do something like this because it's just easy to do. And also, here's the real truth. A lot of people that play video games are really stupid. So you have to make sure that it's like, hey, retard, hey, over here. Oh, no, you're running into the wall again. No, come back over here. And like, I'm one of those people. Like, this is the best way that I can explain my thinking process. The way that my logic and rationalizations work is not congruent with the way that the video game designer thinks about things. So like, this is what happens with a lot of games, is that I run up against like these problems that I just can't understand why it's not this way, because it just makes perfect sense for it to be this way, but it's not that way. So you just get stuck in like this basically, you're like stuck in the spot, you don't know where to go, right? You have no idea. And so what the fuck, yeah, no, I'm being serious, right? And what happens is that, yeah, same? Yeah, and I think that's what happens with a lot of people. And so people just, they can't even, because there's a lot of different ways of thinking about something, right? It's like, how do you get to the number 4? You can do, 2 plus 2 or 5 minus 1. But if you ask a lot of people, the first thing they're going to say is 2 plus 2. And so the point is that if a game's development is not intuitive to a player, and I think this is one element, you know what game really did this well? I hate to say it, because we all know it was real, but Astrobot did this extremely well. It was, I didn't need to fucking worry about it. It was fucking obvious, right? It was so fucking obvious. And it's done in a way that doesn't require yellow paint, it's just common sense. The game is simple as hell though. I think that there are a lot of like physical interactions. So like, for example, okay, there's like a big thing and you need to pull it. Okay, so you get your hand and you move your character back, right? There are things that make logical sense. And I think that that's really what the issue is with a lot of these games, is that sometimes video games have logic that defies reality, and then when video games have logic defying, like reality defying, like logical jumps, what happens is that players get really confused because they don't know, okay, how can they think?
Alright, time to find out who's our ultimate party shark!
So I think that what happens with a lot of these games is that they end up because a lot of players, and I think it's really, really hard. Like, here's a great example of it too. The fact that a 5-year-old has a smartphone doesn't mean that the 5-year-olds are smart. It means the people that make the smartphone are really smart. So easy to use and approachable for a lot of people is incredibly challenging and really hard.
Looks like we're falling behind a bit, but don't worry, just keep running!
Because it's just not a priority. And then there's game logic, which is different. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of game logic that, for me, is just never intuitive. Like, and I don't know if you guys, anybody's like this as well, but like, to me, a lot of the way that video games are designed, and like, the way that people think, like just unfathomably counterintuitive never thought to do it this way, and it makes no sense to me. And so it's so hard for me to be able to like figure out what to do in certain situations or like think like somebody else, because I would just never do that. To give you an example, yeah, sure. The first example, the one that comes immediately to mind, is that Blast Blight is
We're halfway through the slow feeding frenzy.
This is counter to every
We're falling behind a bit, but don't worry.
and every observable reality that I've ever experienced. That's what I'm saying, right? The blast fire? Yeah, no, but that's my point. And so that's one example of something that I would never even comprehend this to be different. It's blight, but not elemental. Well, what I'm saying is that doesn't make sense to me. That's my whole point, is that you can explain the reasoning, but if the reasoning doesn't have an intuitive resonance that is like, you know, there's like a counterbalance to the reality, people aren't going to understand that. Like, I understand that there's a difference now because I looked it up because it's counter to any logical thinking that I would have. And I think that a lot of other people that play video games think like that. Yeah, exactly. It's confusing. And so anyway,
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
It was a mistake to use the yellow paint because there is a wrong pattern as well. The more that the player knows what that solution is.
Yeah.
But obviously that can have a downside of an upside. You know, it can make things really, really obvious, or it can basically just be like, oh, not this again.
I think also one thing that it does is it takes discovery away from the player. It's like when you have like unique signposting for a particular game, and it's like, for example, like the torches in Blighttown, when the player has like that moment where they realize, wait a minute, all the torches here, oh shit, okay, now I get it, right? They've just learned something. And so like when the player learns something like that, they're going to remember it for a long time.
Alright, time to find out who's our ultimate
But when
party
you just
shark.
see like the default settings put on, then yeah, it's a totally different situation. It's game on, right? Yeah, exactly.
Because once you notice it and you know why it's there, it's like, it is jarring and you want to be immersed.
It's still real to me, damn it!
If the discourse carries on, it will just disappear. If now we know that yellow paint is basically the devil and the basis
I don't think that developers, if you don't have time to make the game in like an intuitive way, you should use yellow paint. Because it's better that players understand what's going on than not. The idea that like it's a bad idea, like it's not even like, yeah, of course we need to teach players what to do, and it's better to use the default than nothing. You never know what
Hopefully Destiny with a history of gaming
Yeah.
We're halfway through the slow feeding frenzy.
the same fixation, like it's like a tail for this. I don't give a fuck about this. Yeah, it's annoying. I mean,
Go, Sharks, go!
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Great job! You're way more fantastic than they are.
Inside the cyberpunk seems terrifying.
Yeah, a lot of people were.
Another epic victory!
I don't really know
Big
why this
win!
video is actually pretty decent, but I do think that yellow paint is just an indicator of basically a developer not prioritizing or not having time or not having the intuitive understanding enough to make a type of explainer in the game that makes sense. Yeah, lack of critical thinking. Yeah, exactly, right? It's shitty, lazy design. It is. It's lazy design. And I think that it's not even really that shitty. In some ways, it's just lazy. I think it's less of a problem on its own, but when you play a game with hand-holding, the satisfaction of solving something... Yeah.
Alright, time to find out who's our
And I think
ultimate
that's one
party
thing that
shark.
yellow paint does take away, is that if you have an indicator everywhere that is like a uniform across all video games, and it says this is the way that every video game is supposed to play, what ends up happening is that there's like a degree of like discovery that the player can't have. You can't discover something that's already been discovered for you. And I think that's it. Yeah, there's no thinking involved. And I think that like there's like a sweet spot where you give the player enough of like a lead to understand where to do, where to go, what to do or where to go, but you don't necessarily do it for them. People are calling it lazy, like the devs have infinite time to make every game. Well, I think they're just getting their feedback on it, right? They're saying like, well, we want more creative solutions because we feel like this is boring and it takes away the escapism. Right? I don't think yellow paint is like a one I actually don't. But I think that it's one advanced stuff people have with modern gaming. And I think there's a reason why they're in it. It's part of the experience. He always said it doesn't have to do the yellow paint. Why rush though? Make a good game that takes time. I mean, that's always
We're halfway through this little feeding frenzy.
Like, if you're running a studio, and like the truth is, this is the reality. Yellow paint is the reason why your game doesn't sell. If you make a really good game, yellow paint's presence or lack thereof will not be the reason why it fails. Or succeeds. So that's the reason. I mean, it's easy to, you know, oh, we'll just make it take longer. Well, but that's hard to do. Who said why rush? What a comment. Yeah, exactly. It's such a bad excuse saying that they don't have infinite time because there's tons of successful games out there that implement intuitive discovery well. Yeah, exactly. And I think that it should be more of a goal. Because again, it's about the player experience, and that's what matters the most, right? But the AAA video game bubble has burst. I don't think this is true entirely, but I know why they're saying it. Here we go. Let's watch it. The video game industry is choice across console, handhelds, and this could not be more dire. More and more studios seem to be closing. Why didn't they not? They really should just make that.
Another epic victory! Big win!
And so anyway, I think it's because the studios were over hiring. They have a bunch of people in there. Like, this is a big problem that I think a lot of people in corporate have, is that they just bring in more and more people. Just more and more people. And eventually you have like such a large component of the actual of the company that doesn't actually contribute to the product. Like, they're not doing anything for the product. They're not improving the product. They're not making it better. They're not even helping the product.
All right,
They're just
time to find out who's our
These
ultimate
are being
party
scrapped
shark.
mid-development, and vast
Yeah.
legions of game developers, programmers, artists, and animators have been cut loose.
Who the fuck wants to do this? What is this, like, in between, like, a pride rally, Burning Man, and Mad Max? What the fuck is this? Like, what kind of stuff? It doesn't make any sense. It's weird. Yeah, who does this?
Animators have been cut loose. To put it simply, the AAA video game bubble has finally burst. Across the past 2 years, over 23,000 jobs in the video game industry were lost, and a staggering 6,000 in January 2024 alone. Over 30 video game development studios have ceased operations, including Arcane Austin, Volition, and most recently Firewalk Studio.
You want to know what Capcom is that they're Western development studios. Capcom is hiring people, and From Software increased their wages. The problem is that AAA Western gaming studios are infested with a that they seemingly can't get rid of, and it's
You're way
going
more
to be a
fantastic
AAA
than
game,
they
and
are.
it's going to be massively fucking successful.
We're halfway through the frenzy.
Let's be real. Like, it is Western American, especially American, game developers. They are the ones that have no fucking idea. That's the real problem.
Great job.
What's worse is
You're
this
way
trend
more
only shows signs of
fantastic
continuing
than they
rather
are.
than diminishing. So how did we get here? Well, some analysts have concluded these closures and redundancies are a necessary remedy to companies having overextended themselves in response to inflated demand in the market. Although it's undeniably a factor, that's just one of many issues that have been gestating for years within the AAA project bubble. Just 5 years ago, AAA projects had a budget range from $50 to $150 million. Today, the minimum average is $200 million.
Jesus.
Call of Duty's new
So
benchmark.
it more than doubled or quadrupled in 5 years. Well, where's that money
Final
going?
30 seconds. Go, Sharks!
Is $300 million.
Great job.
Activision admitting
You're
in the
way more
competition and market
fantastic
authority.
than they are.
Like, you know who plays games like this? Guys. They do. Girls don't play games like this. And you need to stop putting girl boss characters in games that are made
Another epic victory. Big
has this and
win.
acknowledges it. But since it's a video game and we have to pretend like it's not real. It is obviously fucking real. So they keep making content for, quote, everything. And nobody wants it. Girl Bros? Yeah, it's ridiculous. Girl Boss is fine if it's demonstrated. Well, yeah, but the Resident Evil lady, like that history's talking about, she was really hot. That's the main thing. And also, she was like the villain, and like it wasn't even you. What's that, Stellar Blade? Yeah, Stellar Blade character is really hot. It's like Stellar Blade is a game that's made to appeal to men.
All right, time to find
The
out
people
who's
that
our
made Stellar Blade
ultimate party
made
shark.
that game, and their target audience were men. Yeah, some girls play Stellar Blade, they like Stellar Blade, but it's a god game. For sure. Gooners, yeah, absolutely. And this is part of the rot that AAA, like Western AAA studios have, is that they do stuff like this. So this is like, what the fuck?
But it now takes the efforts of 1.5 studios just to complete the annual Call of Duty title. But it's far from just Call of Duty facing ballooning costs. In the same survey report, an anonymous publisher admits that development costs for one of its franchises reached $660 million. $550 million of marketing costs on top, which makes it
Looks like we're falling behind a bit, but don't worry.
Put that into
Just
perspective,
keep swimming.
Minecraft, the world's best-selling video game of all time, only broke $3 billion last year, and keep in mind that's what it made since it launched way back in 2011. The realities of these budgets mean entire publishing houses are massively
Where I can see that data being not completely relevant because of how much merchandise and he the richest director, right? But I don't know.
Overstretched and are now desperately facing consequences. Their developers' huge projects don't make money immediately, they gotta go. Sega's sci-fi shooter Super Game Hyenas was in development at
We're
creative
halfway
assembly
through
for
the
7
soap eating
years.
frenzy.
And just as it was publicly
Well,
playable,
this is again like I have to say, like, I mean, stop making characters with ugly female. Like, if you make a game with an ugly female character, I will automatically assume your game is garbage because nobody wants that. Women don't want that, and men don't want that. Straight up. Like, I don't even understand how this is even a conversation.
first time via alpha testing, canceled. Reason? Blizzard survival policy on a similar trajectory.
Looks like we're falling behind a bit, but don't worry. Just keep playing.
Most retarded, cringe, millennial shit I've ever seen. This is so obnoxious and weird.
Looks like we're falling behind a bit, but don't worry. Just keep swimming.
Really?
Final
Like,
30
what the
seconds.
fuck
Go,
is
go,
this?
go!
It's a children's game. Yeah, it's just so weird.
Couldn't make its money back. Blizzard's survival project Odyssey had a similar trajectory. Odyssey was the studio's first new IP. Undoubtedly made waves in this project. Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, though.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
No reason publicly given beyond inconveniences and switching engines to increase player counts and servers.
Guys, Overwatch 2 was a joke. Heroes of the Storm was a joke. Diablo 4 was a joke. You really think this game was good? Like, I mean, why would anybody think this game was good? I mean, really, like, why are we assuming that it was this great game? HOTS was fun? No, it wasn't. If it was fun, more people would have played it. Guys, I understand it's popular to say, like, oh, I like this game that's not popular anymore. No, there's a reason why they stopped playing. They stopped promoting it because nobody played the game because it wasn't fun.
These examples of the current AAA publishing call reflect a deep-rooted fear to engage with anything new and original. Publishers perhaps more risk-averse than ever to stray out of their established IP safety nets. But even well-known IP that could be worth millions in sales and revenue is being left to rot. Despite owning Infamous, Jak and Daxter, Killzone, Resistance. And Sly Cooper, to name a few entries in PlayStation's sprawling dormant library, Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki recently claimed the company lacks enough original IP to consolidate itself as a true gaming powerhouse.
This is I have this one.
You talking to...
What Totoki may mean is that Sony's older catalog of library IP does not fit the mold of what every publisher has been mindlessly chasing for the past.
See, like, Killzone should be the American version of Stalker. It should be like in between Stalker and Space Marine 2. Killzone was great, by the way. Yeah, that's where it should be, and it's just not there. Killzone's trash. It was really.
All right, time to find out who's
It's like
our
2005.
ultimate party shark.
Decade. Next big live service money grab. It's difficult to imagine much fanfare for a slightly reboot. Anthony Murray or play, grand heists or season pass bonuses, and worlds are delivered half-baked instead of fully formed. It's undeniable that on some level the video game market has changed forever because of this live service model. New video games don't just have to compete with new rivals, but somehow find space in an increasingly crowded...
Bullshit. Dragon Age. Even though this game didn't sell well. Armored Core 6. Let's see. What else do we have? I've uninstalled a lot of games. Dragon's Dogma 2. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. They had a couple of updates and they stopped. What else do we have? Elden Ring. Metaphor. There's another one. Yeah, Metaphor. Right there. So it's just bullshit.
Great
This
job!
idea that
You're
every
way
game
more
has to be live
fantastic than
service.
they are.
It just total bullshit. Because the
Halfway through the selfie?
why it's so popular, it's because it plays flawlessly. It is such a good game to play. It's good.
The higher player counts than many of the best sellers of the last few years. To find their audience, neither of which was afforded to Firewatch Studios' Concord. The crew of Concord's North Star will be the recent fate of Concord's Firewatch Studios for the increasingly blue collar
Big gaming publications and gaming channels don't want to address the elephant in the room, which were the elephants in the character selection screen on Concord. No one wants to play like a mix between I don't know, like somebody on my 600-pound life and Doom.
Final 30 seconds! Go, Sharks, go!
They don't want to do that. Nobody wants to play that. Like, it wasn't appealing at all. So, I'm sorry. And so, the 600-pound Doom guy, yeah, exactly. Right. These studios keep making games. I know I talk about this a lot. People are kind of annoyed by it. But like, if
Epic victory!
like identity politics did in the game, my probability of wanting to play that game goes down by a lot. And it's not even because of the identity politics. It's about the fact that I'm good at recognizing patterns. And I've seen patterns happen a lot where it's, oh, this game is like this, it has this feature, that means it's gonna have a bunch of other garbage too. That's it. That's their focus. Yeah, and it's like, I don't want to see that in a game. I think that's weird. It's exhausting. Yeah, it's fucking weird. And so like, the studios keep doing this, and like, I don't know how you can look at the releases of these games and the entire media space collectively saying, not collectively, obviously there's people disagree, right? But people saying like, we don't want these games with like these like weird modern social issues attached to them. People have been begging, please stop making identity politics part of your video game. Please stop doing it. And they don't stop doing it, and people don't buy the games. It's that simple. It's the same with movies and TVs. Yeah, people aren't buying them, and that's the reason why you have these foreign developers that are doing so well.
We're halfway through the
Yeah, please
Sophie
have a body
frenzy!
type A and B. Only have to do AAA stuff. Yeah, well, that's why AAA is the ones that are making people that are losing money.
Looks like we're falling
When do you
behind a
think
bit,
they'll wake
but
up?
don't worry,
They won't.
just
They're going
keep
to have to get
swimming!
fired, and the studios will have to get shut down because you can't get rid of these people. And so it's like an infection. Like when you get infected with something like this, you just have to cut off the entire arm. That's it. They said they're not going to stop no matter the cost. Well, I mean, they're going to say that until it costs them. But either way, that's what happened. And I think that's a huge reason. I mean, like, yeah, Concord was a bad game, sure, but it was also like if you look at the initial reception of the game, read the comments, everybody was like super negative about it. It's the same thing with Dragonlance, and like at a certain point, you can't just pretend that having this massive, overwhelming consumer sentiment doesn't matter. It fucking matters. It obviously fucking matters. Of course it matters. Concord was Firewatch's first game. Acquisition and reported cash injection of $200+ million, which they reportedly believed to have expired estimations. The game's Concord's downfall happened faster than any other failed game.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Like this. Just Just a decade earlier, though,
I feel like that happened with a couple of other live service games recently, but it just wasn't really that bad. Like Concord, I feel like was the big one.
a similar disaster was plaguing Blizzard's Diablo 3. Crippling Error 37 message made the game unplayable, and fans worldwide decreed the absolute failure of launch. Soon after, the game's real money auction house left players with a foul taste in their mouth, and Diablo 3's reputation was roasting in the fires. Instead of abandoning it, Blizzard repaired the game, removed the auction house, and then fundamentally upgraded and evolved it to Diablo 3 2.0 with its Reaper of Souls expansion, finally cementing its comeback as a brilliant game. It's a similar
Well, the reason why Diablo 3
time
wasn't
to find
very
out
good
who's
at
our
launch is because
ultimate
the game
party
was
shark.
completely unbalanced. That's really the reason. Not a lot to it. And they put no effort into balancing and making the end-game content for the game good. The guy that was like the person who made the game, like one of the directors, like what he went and said is he said, we made the game really hard, so what we did is we just doubled all of the numbers. Like, okay, so, and then, because I beat Inferno before it got nerfed. I did. Did not beat it on hardcore like Caparian did, but I did beat it. It was totally broken garbage. There was desyncing issues. The game just functionally did not play well.
Great job!
And this is
You're way
especially
more
true with every other
fantastic
act
than they
besides
are.
Act 1. Because Act 1 was in the Diablo 3 beta, and none of the other acts were tested at all. So you go through Act 1, and it was this flawless, great experience, and then the moment you go into Act 2, you would have to be dodging grenades that spawned off screen, and then you would have to be dodging wasps that were invisible. It was just total garbage.
story to what we saw with CD Projekt Red and hard-fought battle to win cyberpunk from the 77 fans. $1 million budget had been lowered, and the project direction refocused as a spark for a new universe rather than a big bang. It doesn't seem like they found an audience with some Blizzard or CDPR like shepherding from Sony. It's picking the medium-sized success they deserve to be, and not for the financial corners these publishers find themselves painted into. And really, maybe some publishers should consider steering clear of these financial quarters entirely. Gamers are beginning to wane interest in these monolithic projects. We only look at upgraded games in 2024 less. But 2024 games are worthless.
Baldur's Gate 3 was a good game. Almost every single one of the games that didn't do well had some form of messaging that a lot of people did. Like, if you look at Dragon Age, if you look at Concord, if you look at, I feel like there's another one that's right? Baldur's Gate 3 was in early access forever? Yeah, it was. And so, Baldur's Gate 3 had a message? Well, Baldur's Gate 3 let you do whatever you wanted, right? That's really it. Yeah, oh yeah, Suicide Squad, Justice League, Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah, exactly. All of these games, in my opinion, were infected with unrelatable, weird social messages. Appreciate your life. I think that's really the problem. And it's like, I don't see how like you have all of these points and they're making this perfect life, but you
can't expect to win them all.
You won't say, wow, what do all these things have in common? People are more pissed about Batman? Yeah, sure.
AAA titles from 500-strong studios, 2024 showed a revitalized effort with a smaller, more independent spirit. Arcade Machine throwback UFO 50, the Metroidvania-esque Animal Well, Poker roguelite Balatro, and text-based pixel art adventure The Crimson Diamond are just some of the games you'll see appearing again and again on these lists. Despite their numerous differences, they share one thing in common: a smaller, more refined experience that recalls earlier eras of gaming where marriages and mechanics and storytelling were key through technological craftiness, rather than literal.
This is actually true too, where a lot of games, the scope of them becomes so large that they just collapse under their own weight, basically. If Elgar was still Baldur's Gate 3, you could be able to call out tasks for her birthday. Well, what you would have been able to do is you'd be able to kill her. The thing is that a lot of these games don't want to. They don't want to tell stories that have shades of gray because they're afraid of you rooting for the villain. That's the issue.
Countryside game worlds. The nostalgia they create for older video game generations are central to the heart of their creation. They just want you to pick them up and have a good time. The slow but increasingly clear pivot of video game audiences to a potential indie renaissance is a clear message to publishers that if everything is bigger and bolder, who possibly has the time and energy to play more than 1 or 2 games each year?
Is that the amount of time that you need to invest to maintain relevance in a live service game is like a small 10 hours a day to maintain relevance and keep up with live service games. And because of that, guess what? A lot of people don't want to do it. This is one of the problems that I think a lot of gacha games have now, is that basically every gacha game is the exact same.
Great job!
And
Your wing was fantastic.
you do dailies and stuff like that. You can't create your own pace. Yeah, exactly, right? You're basically on a conveyor belt whenever you play live service games, where you can't get too far behind and you can't get too far ahead. So it's not like, because a lot of people, the fact isn't that, like, in a normal person's life,
You're way more
they generally
fantastic
don't
than
have
they are.
exactly 45 minutes to play a video game. They have 4 to 5 minutes to play a video game, and then they have 4 to 5 hours on the weekend. Dedicate the same 15 minutes to right? Like, for example, like, every day, there'll be other days where I play video games for 8 hours. And that's real life, right? And so when you have these live service games that are built around these, like, retention mechanisms to keep you logging in every day, what you do is they can't get ahead on the days that they have off, and they fall behind on the days that they can't play. And so you're losing people from both sides. And I think also, like, there's so many of them now competing for your same money that it's kind of like streaming services. Where it's like, well, I don't want to do a streaming service because it's something.
LLC team consisted of 6 developers working over many years.
way!
Animal
It's a
and
draw?
Crimson Diamond share similar stories of being crafted by solo developers, Basso and Julia Yamamoto respectively, over several years. Even a smash hit like Lethal Company started life as a one-man band developer, Zeekers, learning to develop games on Roblox before expanding his knowledge. All of these developers put everything they had over several years of their lives into creating these games, not in pursuit of money, but because of a passion. And this is why they don't need humongous worlds or 300+ side quests to tick off. These games all feel like lean enjoyment machines.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of games that are like that. And I feel like that mouth-washing game is another really great example for it. Is that graphics don't matter, style matters.
Alright,
Like
time
the
to find out
style
who's
of
our
mouth-washing,
ultimate
the
party shark.
style of it, like especially when you were pointing the gun at that guy, at the end of it, absolutely fucking sick. Or like him dancing and doing that thing, or like there were a couple of other moments where it was just like the style of the game was incredible. So why is it a problem? Like, why do we keep focusing on having like real known actors play characters in video games? Like, is this really, like, outside of a Kojima game, like, is this really anything that people care about? No, nobody gives a shit about it. Metaphor graphics are really bad, but style is overall. Yeah, well, Metaphor has like a weird dichotomy because all of its like hand-drawn art is, in my opinion, some of the best art that there is. It's fucking phenomenal. I love it. But the actual in-game, yeah, like in terms of like the fidelity, it's a lot like it's like From Software. Yeah, exactly, right?
It feels like the popular video game industry is to choose from. The first is the status quo. Possibly open yet incredibly empty worlds filled with 80+ hours of content. Hopelessly pursued a live service train which left the station over 5 years ago with late passengers wondering why the money isn't rolling in anymore. These billion-dollar gambles could pay off, but it's seeming less and less likely every day. Conversely, companies could opt for a second pass, take a page out of Julia Minamata, Billy Basso, and Zeekers. Wider breadth of projects, smaller in scope and scale, with a refined focus on gameplay mechanics mechanics and perhaps a return to older styles of video games long dormant. Projects were developed
Because like Dragon's Dogma 2 and Elden Ring and like a lot of glitches, like it's not like the
Great
new
job!
style of
You're
games
way
are
more
bad.
fantastic than they are.
Games are bad. Because all of these issues, like think about what this guy's saying. Is Nintendo having this problem with Legend of Zelda? No, they're not. I mean, these are all problems that are coming from people that are like just Western studios. Nintendo will always make money? Yeah.
Of course, unafraid to make weirder choices and take some unexpected left turns. Thanks to decent reception and lackluster sales. Maybe studios, and more importantly, shareholders, can remember because it would be the industry. The right place for a higher resolution graphics, or because finish another piece of side content that pushes you just one digit closer to that 100% completion.
Yeah, I think that's a huge issue. A lot of people
Another
are tired
epic
of,
victory!
completionist
Big
mechanics being put in.
win!
Concord was Sony. Yeah, Concord was a big one. But I also think that Concord was Sony making a game for Western audiences. I think that's what happened. And also, Sony owned the studio, but the studio that made it was a Western studio.
Plan.
Well, this wasn't the one we started with.
Speaking of which, congratulations, you've almost 100% of this video. What do you think needs changing in the games industry? You want bigger games or more games? Sound off in the comments below, and for everything gaming, you are already in the right place. IGN.
I think that another really big toxic thing that
Alright, time to find out
is
who's
they
our
correlated the
ultimate
quality
party
of the
shark.
game to the amount of hours that they spend in the game, and the value of the game to the amount of hours they spend in the game. And I don't think that's a good way to look at it.
Great job!
There are a lot
You're
of
way more
games that I've spent very
fantastic
few
than they
hours
are.
in, and it was some of the best time that I've ever had. But there are other games that I've spent a lot of hours in, and it wasn't really that great. And so I mean, it's just well, maybe, right? But like, I think that this has always been the way that people think. So there's things that I'll say, wow, I put a lot of hours in, but the game was pretty much dog shit. And so does that really mean that, like, did I have more of a good time with Starfield, or did I have a better time with Undertale? I had a better time with Undertale, even though I only played it for 6 hours. So that's what I found. And I feel like also, again, this problem is manifest in Western game studios way more than Eastern games.
You're way more fantastic than they
Yeah, I
are.
haven't played it myself, but I'm not surprised. You're telling me $300 million
Double KO!
microtransactions aren't sustainable business model? Madness, yeah, crazy. Imagine that. And it's the AAA bubble. It's the games have too much money. This is also the issue. Is that games are like this. So as the costs go up exponentially, players still don't even want to spend $70 for a video game. Think about it. Think about how much in 2005, because this is still 506, whenever the 360 came out, they moved up to $30 or $60, excuse me. How many things that you bought in 2006 or 7 are the same price now? Basically, fucking nothing is. And it's because gamers just don't have that much control. So what's happened is that these developers have to find other ways to make money, and the way they do that is by selling early access to the game. They do it by having microtransactions in the game. And this would have happened as a natural outcome of a publicly traded company, but at the same time, the fact that gamers are willing to spend more money accelerated it. Spending $8 for that. Well, I don't know. I mean, you're about to go for them, right? Because like I bought video games recently that are $60 mainly. Like most video games are $60. Right? I do think this is a very good video. I also think that, again, a lot of they don't want to very overt, and they alienate.
Another epic victory!
a field of guys, you're just gonna keep losing. Now, a guy yesterday came into my stream and he says, I want you to watch my video. And I said, okay, I want you to watch your video, post it on Reddit, and I will watch it if people upvote it. People did upvote it. Here's the video.
Hey everyone, welcome to my very first ever YouTube video. I'm wanting to give a perspective of how I see the current state of modern gaming as a casual gaming enthusiast. Just to introduce myself, I'm a married man with a full-time job, and I'm dedicated to a lot of various other commitments in my life. While gaming is definitely my favorite hobby, I don't always have the time to enjoy it. There are times when I'll go weeks without touching a game, and then there are stretches where I can squeeze in maybe a few hours every day. This is the reality for many of us, trying to balance work, life, and the hobby we love, gaming, as a regular...
I think that's one of the big issues that casual gamers have, is that a lot of times they can't play regularly every day, but a lot of games are built around like a daily release structure. So like for a guy like this where, you know, like let's say Tuesdays he has to take his kids somewhere or whatever, so he has like just way less time. Like now he's basically systematically getting farther behind every single week because of the way that the daily rewards of the game are. It's called having a life. Well, what I'm saying is that, like, so the way that the rewards in certain games are structured is that they're structured in a way to like front load the reward for logging on every day, right? There's like login rewards, you know, a daily like little battle pass bar that you fill up, something like that. And like, oh, your first mission of the day gets you 400% experience, something like this, right? And so I think for a lot of guys like this, they get put in this position and they're kind of stuck, right? Yeah, just don't play that shit. Exactly.
everyday guy.
A lot of games are structured for people with no life. Well, it's more that not only are they structured with people structured for people with no life, they're structured for people that have a consistent schedule, because the games are designed around playing them regularly, but life isn't designed around playing video games regularly. So you have these massive problems. I think he brings up a good point.
Not one of those hardcore streamers or YouTubers who can dedicate countless hours year-round to gaming.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy watching other content creators who live and breathe this stuff.
I'm glued to a chair!
That's not quite my reality though, and I know I'm not alone in this. So in this video, I want to represent the casual gamers out there, people like me who balance a love for gaming with everything else going on in their lives. I hope to give a balanced view on controversial perspectives, and also hope I could shed some light on what I think are very important topics that can impact the future of gaming. Alright, first things first, and this is the breaking point that finally pushed me to make this video.
Yeah.
I want to dive into the current state of AAA gaming. If you do a quick Google search, you'll find that AAA games are defined as high-budget, high-profile titles, typically produced and distributed by major, well-known publishers. But
I feel like it's kind of like this weird, like, bell curve now that I feel, where it's like, so this is like the quality, and this is the studio, where it's like indie, this is like indie, like super indie, this is like indie, this is A, double A, there's a lot of A's here. But like, I unironically think that the quality for games is like this. Am I crazy? It's almost like these like mid-level studios, I feel like, are able to produce a better game at a much higher ratio.
me, as someone in my mid-20s,
Yeah, it's like a standard
who
deviation,
grew up
exactly.
playing some truly incredible games from these big developers, AAA used to mean something more. It stood for trust,
Used to mean
originality,
something.
and
True.
most importantly, innovation. I think back to 2007 when I went on a Christmas holiday with my family in
Halo?
South Africa. I very
Halo
quickly
3?
discovered Assassin's Creed and
okay.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare at a local games shop. I was completely hooked. It probably wasn't the best for me as I was 9 years old at the time, but
There you
I
go.
fell in love with these games. While most kids will want to spend their summer vacation outside having fun, all I wanted to do was stay inside and play these amazing titles
Yeah, I
on
can
my dad's
relate.
MacBook, which he had installed Windows on just so I could play. Those games weren't just entertainment, they were groundbreaking. From that point on, I had complete trust in AAA developers and publishers, and rightfully so. I'd even
Well,
look
it's also that like you need to have that trust because those were the most expensive games. See, like they kind of standardized everything by the time that like PS2 and especially by PS3 by the time that came out, pretty much all games were the same price. But back in the day, like N64 era and like Super Nintendo era, there was a massive like gradation of like what games cost. Like some games would be $20, other games would be like $70. So these AAA games were